looking at the markets right now, we're seeing time-wise consolidation in the markets. Can we fairly say that? And also, what is the next levels that we should watch out for Sensex?
Well, absolutely, yes, Cheryl. Time-wise correction, maybe a pause for the indices and the bulls not taking charge as such, because we've seen the activity also reduced quite dramatically and sharply for stocks as well as indices in terms of volumes. For Sensex specifically, I think 55,000 as a support and 56,000 as a resistance, which we flagged off I think a couple of days back as well. I think that remains to be a broad band for the indices, and I think till the time we don't break either of this band, we could probably be meandering for the Sensex as well for the next couple of days. So the key important supports from a short-term play is 55,000 on the downside. If you break below that, then we can expect the indices to get into a much sharper correction, and possibly another 1,000 points on the downside could be seen. So that's the important support for Sensex. And on the other hand, 56,000 is a minor resistance for the index over the near term.
All right. Good morning to you, Kunal. And I hope that we get Rajesh Agarwal soon as well, because we're starting the query segment. And viewers, a lot of you know what this means already, but if you're tuning in for the first time, you can send us a message on any one of our social media platforms, or indeed on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. Remember to tell us your name as well as the stock that you'd like to know about, and if you bought the stock, what level you bought it at, and also your time frame. The first question I'm taking is from Paramjeet. He says he's an army veteran from Pune. Thanks so much, Paramjeet, for writing in. Kunal, a bit of a tricky question for you, because he's asking for 5 stocks that you would pick up for a period of 5 years plus, and he's looking for a CAGR of 20% over that period. So that's quite a tough ask, I would think. Do you have such stocks that you've identified?
Well, yeah, I think 5 years and 20% CAGR is a bit of a tough task, but then I think these are best times to try and go back towards traditional large cap names and the ones which have done reasonably well. So I believe ICICI Bank is the first stock which I would definitely have it on my list, at least as one of the preferred candidates in terms of the banking names. If you're looking at taking that slight bit of risk or a high beta name, and that to quality stock, you can look at even SBI as well. That stock has done reasonably well over the last 2 years and looks to be more formidable in terms of the large cap private sector, large cap PSU banking names. So that's the other name which you can look out for. I think from the auto pack, something which I've been advocating over the last few weeks, that's M&M. I think that also looks very attractive to me on the charts, and I'm expecting the stock to do pretty well for itself over the next 3 to 5 years for itself. Infosys or TCS, I think, are the 2 other names which you can look out for. So you have to look out for more preference towards large cap names, and the fact that these stocks have corrected 30% approximately, most of them from their previous major highs, I think that also makes it very attractive.
Whole host of stock recommendations given by Kunal this Tuesday morning. A good one for all of our viewers. I hope you've jotted it down. I have Rajesh Agarwal also joining us this morning. Good morning, Rajesh. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And let me take this fundamental query that I have, and this one is coming from one of our viewers. Lakshman is asking, why is there a sell-off in Tanla Platforms share? Yes, it is the earnings, weak set of earnings coming in for this particular counter. Rajesh snapped the 5 quarters of 20% plus EBITDA margin growth. From here on, what should someone do if they're already holding Tanla Platforms? Make sense to stay put with this holding?
I think it would make sense to exit at this point of time, because valuations are stretched, the numbers are not that good. And going forward also, the prospects of 20% per quarter in jump in bottom line or revenue seems quite a tough task, considering the fact that there are a number of competitions coming up. It's better to exit at this point of time, just to some other names, and maybe a correction of 10-15% from the current market price would be a good opportunity to re-enter. But at this point of time, I would say sell.
Kunal, let me get your also view on Tanla, because we have a query from Shobna, who has about 20 shares of Tanla purchased at about 1,000 rupees per share, wants to know whether it's a good time to average. We also have another of our viewer, I think Purushottam, has asked whether it's good time to look at Tanla. If he's holding it, should he sell it? Do you concur with Rajesh on it?
So I concur with Rajesh with the fact that I think the stock can probably try and correct at least another 10 to 15% low from current levels. So typically that's how the price actions, they generally shape up after a big sell-off. The stock they tend to get into a further correction mode. But then I think if the indicators come back into an oversold territory, that could be a point where I believe Tanla could be looked at in terms of a contrarian buying. I'll go back to maybe 2020 odd, when the stock was at I think if I'm not wrong, just about some 70 rupees, 45 rupees to be precise, mid of 2000 or start of 2020. At that point of time, the indicators were extremely oversold, and that was one of the best contrarian zones to enter the stock. We've not hit those contrarian zones on the indicators for Tanla even after today's correction. So that's why I believe that possibly you have to wait out for maybe some more time to try and go for averaging of the stock at low levels.
All right. Rajesh, I'm coming to you for the next question. We've got Prashant, who's put a total of 1.8 lakh rupees into 3 stocks. That's SAIL, Ami Organic, as well as IDBI Bank. He's sitting with a loss, he says, of about 38,000 rupees on that deployment. And he's wondering, should he book losses in any one of these and move to something like an ABB or a City Union Bank for the long term?
See, I would say only IDBI Bank one should exit from its current position and say, switch to City Union Bank. Although there are some rumors or some gossips going around of disinvestment of IDBI Bank, if that happens, that would be a trigger. Otherwise, I don't think there is any reasons to be in that stock because of the numbers. City Union Bank, on the other hand, is performing extremely well. They are a very conservative management. NPAs are very low, and the NIMs have been very good. And I think going forward also, with the kind of numbers City Union Bank has been given from in the recent past, I think the future is also good. So one can switch to City Union Bank from IDBI Bank.
Okay, this one is coming in from Shailaja, and Shailaja wants to know whether she can buy Tata Chemicals and NBCC at current market price for the short term. Kunal, either Tata Chemicals or NBCC?
So I think I would probably look at both of them. Both of them are attractive. NBCC, we've discussed this earlier as well. Even when the stock was, down to almost 32 yesterday, I maintain that stance that it's a good buy, and I believe that possibly the stock should hit levels of 37 over the next 3 to 4 weeks, or maybe slightly elongated time frame than that. So the stock has gained good momentum. The volumes are backing the stock price move. So I maintain the bullish stance on NBCC. Tata Chemicals as well. I think you can look to maybe not buy exactly at current levels, but then I think start at current levels, and then possibly at every 25 points dip from current levels is where you can look to average. So maybe till 825 is where you can look to average Tata Chemicals. It's a good stock, but then the only concern is that short-term wise, the stock may not give you any immediate fillip on the upside. So if you are okay with holding on for, say, the next 2 to 3 months, then it makes sense to go for a buy on dips on Tata Chemicals.
Okay. Siddesh is looking for a fundamental view on Elecon Engineering, which he's bought at levels of 340, and he's asking what the view is. Rajesh, what's the view on Elecon?
See, the company is good, but you have to wait for a longer period of time for some meaningful capex to happen in the industrial sector. That would give a flip to the stock. So if you are comfortable holding the stock for maybe 9 to 12 months, then it's a good buy. Otherwise, I think one should avoid.
Right. This next query is from Maleshwar Kunal. Jubilant Food, does it make sense to buy this counter at current market price for the short term?
Well, it looks like, but the only concern is that the stock has been unable to break past about this 585 mark. So, 2 days back or 3 days back as well, the stock was just about perched at this 584, 585 mark, getting ready for a breakout. But then from there, the stock has this tendency of getting into a slip mode. So, it tends to get into a corrective mode whenever the stock, hits those levels of 585. So, either you buy at current levels, maybe look out for 585 as an immediate target, and then if the stock crosses that 585 mark, you can look to buy, or you can look to trail your stop losses there. Or else, a much better trade would be to try and let the stock confirm that the 585 resistance is taken out. So you may have to buy the stock a bit more costly from current levels, but then the confirmation would be that the stock has confirmed that breakout, and the momentum would come back into the stock price again. So the strategy is what I would leave it to you, but then buying at current levels as well as on breakout could be both of them could be better strategies.
All right, Kunal, on the long term, you've already pointed out ICICI Bank and Infosys you're positive on. Jagdish wants to know whether he can buy August futures. So how do you trade in the shorter term?
See, I would avoid trading futures at current levels, because I understand that the prices and the price rally have been quite strong for these stocks. A much better strategy is, rather than, because you're buying at a point where the risk reward is either 1:1 or even less than that. So if you're expecting possibly a 40 points on the upside for ICICI Bank, then you'll have to be ready for at least a 30-35 points as a stop loss for the trade, which is not an ideal strategy for a stock like ICICI Bank. So much better strategy would be to try and wait out for or write a put option on the downside. So maybe a 750 strike, 750, 740 strike, whichever is available for ICICI Bank. That could be a better strategy, that you can write the put option and try and eat the premium, because I believe that the stock has a higher chance of consolidating here rather than giving a stronger upside over the very immediate term.
Okay, this one's from Kaustubh and this one's for you, Kunal. Technical analysis on Gland Pharma. He's saying the volume pressure seems to have declined and the RSI is oversold. So he wants to know, is it the right time to accumulate this counter?
So I think it's a good observation that yes, volumes are tending to decline. The volumes which had happened, I think 3 days back for Gland Pharma, when the stock was sharply down from there, you've seen the volumes getting eased off. The indicators are oversold. So possibly you may come back into a zone of good contrarian buying for Gland Pharma. But remember, I think at current levels, you'll have to have a lot of patience as well as a lot of guts to try and go for contrarian buying, because the news flow is completely against and the event flow is completely against the stock price movement. So only if you're okay with buying or looking at high risk appetite, then I would suggest go for a contrarian buying on Gland Pharma at current levels.
All right. Gentlemen, do stay with us, and viewers, we have to slip into a very quick break. Datta, I'm going to come back and take your question first, so you in particular should stay tuned. We'll be back before you know it.
Raj, happiness multiply करने के लिए
The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you asked, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
Nikunj, you are a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
The problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
From the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy. Only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better. And with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do. We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing. And you're absolutely right.
And if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now. We've got Rajesh Agarwal as well as Kunal Bothra answering all of our viewer queries. I'm going to take the next one from Datta, who's writing in. He's asking about Delta Corporation, which he bought at levels of 185. The question is for you, Rajesh, on the fundamentals. Would you suggest holding on to this?
Ether Corporation, you said, right?
Or Delta Corp.
Right. Yesterday, the numbers were not that good and the stock saw a cut, and I believe that it's better to exit at this point of time because we don't believe that the numbers would be anything fascinating in the next 2-3 quarters. So it would be better to switch to some other company.
All right, this one is coming from Karthik Kunal, and he wants a technical analysis on Tata Steel for a long-term buy. He's saying that he's starting afresh, and he also wants to know if the upcoming stock split will have any impact on the price of the stock.
See, generally doesn't have for stock prices which are less than 1,000 odd or just about in this vicinity of 1,000, because then the stocks, they typically are well traded, and for a stock like Tata Steel, which is also well traded as compared to the other large cap names as well. So I believe in that regards there may not be a major impact or a change of behavior for a stock like Tata Steel. Long-term wise, chart-wise, I think these metal stocks have come back to deep oversold territories for themselves. But the only question with with these stocks on the charts is that these stocks are getting into a time-wise correction as well at the same time, and price-wise correction as well happening. So the only question is that how much time will the stock, will these stocks take to absorb the negativity in terms of news flow surrounding the metals and the commodity space overall. So I'm bullish on the longer-term prospects for Tata Steel, but then the only concern is that short-term wise, maybe the timing may not be the best to try and buy the stock at current levels.
All right. The next counter that we're looking at is Kennametal, and Bala from Chennai is asking about the future prospects. He's bought it. He's bought currently, and he's asking whether it makes sense to buy more. Rajesh, what's the view on the fundamentals?
See, it's better to buy better names like Jindal Steel and Power or Tata Steel for a longer term horizon than for going for stocks like Kennametals, which are low on volumes and the numbers are not that exciting. So I would say if you're bought, stay put with that, but adding more money, I would say go for Jindal Steel and Power.
Fine. Moving on, we have this one is coming in from Vaibhav, and he wants to know whether he should average Zensar Tech or should he exit? He has 40 shares. He's purchased it at the levels of 395 rupees per share. Kunal, this question is directed to you also, if you could help him with future target.
So you can look to start averaging at current levels, but then my sense is that the indicators are again not extremely oversold for Zensar. So possibly there could be more time-wise as well as a price-wise correction for the stock at current levels. So you can start maybe at current levels of 250, and assuming if the stock corrects, say over the next 1 or 2 months to maybe 200 and 220 kind of a zone, that could be a point where you can look to average further.
All right, interesting question I have for you, Kunal. This is from R. Srikantan, who's writing in from Chennai. He's asking about ITC, which he's bought at levels of 235. He's asking, should he sell it right now? And I see Rajesh also smiling to himself, so I'm going to take it to both of you, gentlemen. Should he sell it right now, Kunal, or is there a prospect for more upside on this stock?
Well, I think the charts and the price performance itself in this year has indicated that there's been a dramatic change of trend for ITC, something which we've not seen for at least the last 4 to 5 years of the price history, at least which I have tracked quite closely for ITC. So I think in that aspect the prospects looks very, very attractive for ITC, and I think if you're not in any kind of an urgency in terms of liquidation or requiring the capital back, then I believe you should definitely look to stay invested.
Okay, Rajesh, what's the view on the fundamentals? I saw you smiling to yourself. I wasn't going to ask you, but then you famously talked about ITC as a great prospect on this show. What's the view now at 300 plus?
I still have a buy call on this. I have been giving a buy call since 180 odd levels, and at 300 odd levels also we have a buy call. Because of the fact that even in the EGM, the management has clearly stated they are going to look forward for demerging the hotel business. They are going big in FMCG. Paper division is doing very well. Even hotels which were laggard in the last 2 years due to pandemic has started showing good numbers. I think all in all, ITC is a good buy for a longer term hope. Even dividends are very good. So no point in exiting. If there is any correction after such a sharp rise, one can use that opportunity to add.
Okay, use the opportunity to add ITC is what Rajesh has to say, as well as Kunal also. Both of them pretty upbeat, one shouting from the rooftops of Mumbai, one shouting from the rooftop of Kolkata. The ITC is a very good counter to be invested in over the longer term. Next time when I come to you, Rajesh, on the question for ITC, I would also want to know what movie name would you give this one? After we spoke about RRR and also we spoke about Pushpa. Let's see which new name you come out with. But let me go on with the next query then. And this one is coming in from Shobna's we've taken. So this one is from Rajesh. And he wants to know about IEX, Kunal. He's saying, is there any likelihood that IEX will go ahead and reach its latest highs and will surpass those levels? The chart of this one looks pretty depressed, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. And with lack of momentum, more pressure on selling, these stocks would require a complete reverse in terms of the news flow or even surrounding the stock price. So till the time that doesn't happen, my sense is that IEX and such are the names which have been falling quite viciously over the last 5-6 months or 7-8 months. Particularly, I think they will continue to go into a drag mode. A best way to try and look out for any kind of a reversal is to wait out for a 3-month high being taken out for the stocks. So till the time these stocks continue to make a new low, you can keep them on a wait and watch radar. But the moment these stocks make a 3-month high for themselves, that's the first time where we say that the stocks, they start to reverse their momentum and they start to get into a reversal or an uptrend mode for itself.
Okay. Question for you, Kunal, on Wipro. We've got Ketan from Pune who's already acquired, but he's asking what the future prospects are.
So it looks attractive. I think from the IT pack, Wipro is at 400 levels for me, and couple that up with the other large cap names. I think they look price-wise very attractive. As I said earlier, that I think for a query on Zensar Tech, that possibly these IT stocks may continue to drag for some more time, possibly another couple of quarters. They may remain in a bit of a sideways range. So don't expect some immediate returns over the very short term. But if you're okay to invest from the next 3 years, 5 years kind of a perspective, then I think it makes a lot of sense to try and chip into these IT names at current levels.
Okay, this one is for you, Rajesh. This one is from Hari. He's writing to us from Abu Dhabi. And he's saying he's already holding Neogen Chemicals, Philip Carbon, SRF, Bayer Crop, and Deepak Fertilizers. He's saying, going forward, which one share should I retain for the long term. Do you want me to repeat the names to you?
Yeah, please.
And Chemicals, Philip Carbon, SRF, Bayer Crop, and Deepak Fertilizer. One stock that he can continue to hold on for the longer term.
See, for longer term, I think there are 2-3 stocks which can be continued to hold, like the PCBL, Deepak Fertilizer, on a SRF. All three are very, very good. Even on numbers and even for the future projections. In fact, PCBL is trading at a huge discount, or I would say huge discounts to its 52-week highs, and even its intrinsic value. I think PCBL is a good buy at this point of time, considering the fact that tire companies are going to do well in the near future. Auto companies are doing well, and they provide carbon black to these companies. As far as SRF is concerned, that's also good, and Deepak Fertilizer is also good. But one stock which you want to keep for a very long period of time, I think SRF would be the best one out of these three. Otherwise, I would recommend all three to be kept.
Okay, Rajesh, we've got a question on Electrosteel Casting. I do not know if you've got a view on this. Guru wants to know about it. Let's pull up the chart. In fact, in the last few minutes, you've seen quite a bit of a spike on the charts, and it is trading with gains of close to 6% at this juncture. What's the view, Rajesh, on the fundamentals?
See, one can add this stock at this point of time. We have a target of around 48 odd rupees in this. The company has been doing well after they have been taken over by Vedanta Group. The numbers have started improving. Debt has gone down. Capacity expansion has been done. I think it's highly undervalued when compared to other larger names. One can add this stock with a target of 48-50 rupees in the next 6 to 9 months.
Let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. The first one is from Mahak. And should I sell Tata Elxsi and Anupam Rasayan? Tata Elxsi bought at 6,970, Anupam at 576. What's the take, Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on.
Anand wants to know about Coal India. Would you suggest a fresh entry, Kunal, at the current level for the long term?
Well, yes, I would suggest a buy on Coal India. In fact, it was also one of my short-term trading picks today morning.
Okay, Zomato, Rajan wants to know, is it a buy for the short term, Kunal?
Not really. I would suggest an avoid.
Aarti wants to know Canara Bank or IndusInd Bank for 1 year time frame. Kunal?
Tough one, frankly, because both of these stocks and the charts are very attractive to me. IndusInd Bank, I would probably give it more emphasis because the stock recently, just last week, has managed to give a breakout.
Okay, Clean Science is the counter. Rajesh, Jagdish wants to know what should he do. Has 39 shares purchased at 1,855.
Hold. It's a hold. Let the stock price move up, then try to exit. But at this point of time, it's a hold.
Rajesh, view on Stylum Industries. Do you have a view? We've got a view of Vivek, who's bought at levels of 1060.
See, it's a highly illiquid counter. Better play would be a Century Plywood. That has given good numbers. Why not switch from this to that?
Okay, Manish wants to know Chennai Petro, good results. Do you think it's a good buy and hold at current market price, Rajesh?
Yes, it's an ad at this point of time. It's doing very well.
Okay, Anurag wants to know about NCC for a period of 1 year. Would you suggest, Kunal, a fresh entry?
Well, yes, you can look to buy at current levels.
Okay, Sapna has Linde India bought at 3,000 rupees per share. Can she hold it for the longer term, Rajesh?
Yes, of course. Even one can add to that.
HDFC Bank, 2 lots of July and August. I do not know the exact strike. What's the strategy, Kunal?
If you've bought the 1400 strike, which is at the money, then I would suggest a hold.
Okay, and Sridhar wants to know whether he can buy Adani at current levels. He's saying that looks overbought. Kunal?
Which Adani one? There's so many stocks.
Yeah, all of them look like that. But maybe Adani Enterprises.
So I would not suggest a buy at current levels, but then assuming if you're looking to buy, a better trade would be to try and wait for at least a 100-point dip.
Okay, all right. So that's unfortunately the end of the rapid fire round and indeed the query segment. But gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. And viewers that we missed out, unfortunately, there's only so much time. But we will be back tomorrow to take more viewer queries. So please bear with us. In the meanwhile, we have to get into another break, but there's more on the other side, so stay tuned.
Nikunj, you're a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always